You're watching Pittsburgh Steelers Talk. I am Tom Downey, and today's show is presented by Aura, an all-in-one digital safety tool, and they are offering you a free trial when you head over to aura.com/chatsports. Now, today's video is a look at some early Pittsburgh Steelers OTA winners and losers. It's mostly winners. The losers aren't that bad, but it's life. There are losers. We have to learn to accept that at this point. Before we get into the multitude of winners so far, do you want more Steelers OTA coverage? If you do, from me and my boy Thomas Mott, show it by liking this video right now. The more likes, the more OTA coverage we can give to you guys here at Steelers Talk. All right, into my first winner. That is Mitch Trubisky, the quarterback. Pretty straightforward here. He has been the number one QB so far at OTAs. Now, he has not been perfect, although after what was apparently a bit of a rough first day, he has settled in nicely. He's been getting most of the reps with the ones. So until that changes, that would make Trubisky the starter at quarterback. And as I've said before, it is a matter of when, not if, Kenny Pickett takes over as his team's starting QB, but it's Trubisky's job to prevent that from happening for as long as possible. He did show some promise in 2018, and since then has not been all that great, but he has a better cast around him from a coaching staff perspective and a offensive line potentially perspective and supporting cast from like the playmakers and especially the running game, right? Look at Najee Harris later on. So the hope is that Mitch Trubisky, after being a backup for a year in Buffalo, can reemerge as the guy that was the number 2 overall pick. And the Bears had hoped so badly was going to be their franchise QB. Of course, that did not end up happening. But maybe he can recapture some of that ability in Pittsburgh and hold off Kenny Pickett. And also Mason Rudolph, who I have bodied Mason Rudolph enough on this show. I am not going to put him in the losers category, but he is stuck right now behind Trubisky and I think Pickett as well. So when it comes to Mitch Trubisky, do you think he is the week 1 starter in Pittsburgh, or does Kenny Pickett surpass him, or does Mason Rudolph make an unbelievable rally? This question is our pinned comment on today's video. So if you get the ad break here while you're watching on YouTube, I want you guys to take advantage of it. Head down there, type in Y for yes, or you can type in N for no. Next up is George Pickens, the wide receiver, and by all accounts from everyone who's down there at OTAs, he has looked awesome. All of the praise has been given so far to Pickens, and it certainly appears that an early impact is very much expected out of the second-round pick receiver from Georgia, and that's a good thing because Pittsburgh needs another impact player at wide receiver, especially with Dionate Johnson not there, who we will get into later on in today's video. I'm not anticipating George Pickens to suddenly become, Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf caliber. That's probably asking for a little bit too much. But if he can show vertical ability, that X, quote-unquote, wide receiver role, that big body, outside vertical threat, that would be an ideal outcome for Pittsburgh as we sit. So, yes, I am very excited to see what George Pickens ends up doing this year. Today's sponsor is Aura, an all-in-one online safety tool. They are the newest sponsor here at Chat Sports, and Aura helps protect your identities online. They offer financial fraud protection, identity theft protection, online and device security, and family plans for up to 5 people for yourself and your family. And Steelers Talk watchers get a 14-day free trial at aura.com/chatsports. That link, aura.com/chatsports, will be in the comments section and in the description for you guys to try it out for free. 32 billion records, that is billion with a B, were hacked in 2020 alone. And if you're like most people, including me, if you ever lose your phone or it gets hacked, you're in trouble because all my information, all my password stuff, it's all on there. Or it helps you shop, bank, and work online more safely and privately. And with that free 14-day trial that you can cancel at any time, when you go to aura.com/chatsports, there's really no reason not to at least give it a shot. Again, that link, aura.com/chatsports, will be in the comments section and in the description. Let's get to another wide receiver now. That is Chase Claypool, who has also drawn some nice praise so far at OTAs after I'm going to call it an up and down second year. There were some good moments, and there were some frustrating things as well as it relates to Claypool. But unlike last year, he's getting some more work at different positions, some inside, some outside reps, and he's saying all the right things publicly, and I believe actually had his first on-camera media interview as a Steeler, which is kind of crazy for a now third-year pro. Overall, Claypool has averaged over 850 yards in each of his first 2 seasons. Now, remember, there was the extra game in 2021. The targets and receptions did drop slightly. The average went up. The touchdowns plummeted. And I don't want to be too mean, but the mistakes were certainly present there. So you're hoping that the year 3 breakout happens for Chase Claypool. With Dionate Johnson not present at OTAs, all of a sudden, Claypool's kind of the vet leader in his 3rd year since, Miles Boykin has been around for a while, but not that long, and he's also, in his 4th year, and was just signed. Calvin Austin, George Pickens. It's up to Claypool to kind of set the tone for a very, very young Steelers offensive core. The oldest guy is one of your linemen in Trubisky. That's kind of crazy when you think about it there. So of the 2 receivers we discussed here, who will end up having the better year? And I think whichever route you go, you're cheering for it, right? Type in GP for George Pickens or CC for Chase Claypool. Which receiver do you think has the better season in 2021? Time for our first defensive winner, and as I look at my list, I realize it's the only defensive winner in the early version. Not the only one out there, but we're only doing 6 today. That's Buddy Johnson, the linebacker, drawing some praise for his play and for his leadership as well. Devin Bush not there, still coming off his some injury stuff, wasn't there at the end of the week. Buddy Johnson then becomes linebacker 2 with Miles Jack at linebacker 1. And for a second-year player, the phrase that was used was veteran swagger. That's a good sign. And Johnson is very much in line to become linebacker 3. And if Devin Bush doesn't improve from what we saw last year, get back to that promising early start he had to his NFL career, maybe Buddy Johnson get even more reps than just the linebacker 3 ones. So I want you guys right now, even though we're not done yet, to name an early OTA winner. Head down in the comments. I know you guys follow this team just as much as anyone here at Chat Sports does. So let me know, who is your early OTA winner? Next up is Najee Harris, the running back. And this is just kind of like, of course here. Najee Harris is the hype train's here. Like, he looks fantastic, and that's not a huge surprise. We all know what Najee Harris can do. He had a massive workload last year for the Steelers, but was held back by, to be honest, a mediocre run-blocking offensive line. He's a special talent. It's a matter of, does the offensive line take a step forward and allow Harris to average more than 4 yards per carry? Because he carried that running game. And it was not because of him that the O-line or the run game was mediocre. It's that the offensive line did not do its job. Now, we are getting closer and closer to 14,000 subscribers here on Pittsburgh Steelers Talk. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We are 431 away. Oh, so close. Hit that big red button and join us. All right, time for a fun, weird one here to wrap up. That's the jet sweeps, which I know that not all of you like. I would argue maybe the jet sweeps weren't going to the right players last year in terms of getting creative players the ball in their hands. It is still involved at OTAs. It was out there plenty in practices. I would like to see Calvin Austin get some jet sweeps. I think that's a good way to get the ball in his hands. But what do you think? Do you like or dislike the jet sweep plays? Type in G if it's good or B if it's bad. Do you like those typical play calls? Let me know in the comments. All right, on now to our loser side of it here. And unfortunately, it's Kendrick, who we discussed a little bit more in depth on yesterday's video. He is already not getting reps at center. The Steelers have flipped him to left guard. He is competing with Kevin Dotson at that job. And given my like for Dotson, that's a good thing for Green. Now, my suspicion is that he will get some run more at center as well. But if you're competing at 2 jobs, does that really mean you're competing for either of them? So I'm not out on Kendrick Green, but my guess is that this is going to be the starting offensive line. I hope he balls. I hope he can make a push for that job at left guard, or maybe still at center. But you sign James Daniels, who, by the way, he's looked pretty good too. You sign Mason Cole. Seems like those two are going to start. That leaves, I think, Dotson at left guard and Green as your go-to swing offensive lineman. It's okay to be mean. Just because you're an early OTA loser does not mean you're going to have a terrible year. It's not what we're saying, but maybe not the ideal start. So I want you guys, if you have one, to name an early OTA loser in the comments. Now, OTAs stand for Organized Team Activities, and they are voluntary. Despite that, Dionate Johnson is not present at OTAs. He wants a new deal from the Steelers. We all know that. And even though it's not a massive deal, it is a deal to have your number one receiver not present at practices as you have a new QB, even though he's worked with Trubisky in the past. Now, his boy Chase Claypool backing up Dionate Johnson. He said, quote, "I don't think it's a big deal, but I know people will make it a big deal because people need clicks and stuff. It is not a big deal. We are going to get to work during the off season." Now, you'll make note that we did not put Dionate Johnson in the headline, so you can't accuse us of that, Mr. Claypool. Do you care about players skipping voluntary OTAs? Type C for care and type DC for no, you don't care. This is your chance to sound off in the comments. I care a little bit, because Stephon Tuitt is also not present at OTAs. I'm not concerned about them, but when you have notable guys not there, it absolutely is worth mentioning. It's not a big deal, but it is a deal. Stephon Tuitt, coming off the injury, also not present for OTAs. I think it was Cam Hayward, if I remember correctly, said he was back in Indy. Players said they expect Tuitt to play. I am going to continue to believe them, but I think I speak for a lot of people when I say we'll all feel better once Stephon Tuitt is physically out there. So for the time being, not a big deal, but it is worth continuing to monitor.